Oh boy, Dust 2. Man, I love this map. I really love this map. And I'm never going to get tired of running around this godforsaken piece of land. It's legendary. And I've never understood people in CSGO who don't have a taste for Dust 2. Play Inferno, Mirage. No! Dust 2 is genius! It's perfectly balanced. The level design, the timing, everything. But that's not the point of the video today. I was challenged in the comments of my video where I made a remake of the AVP India map.
I would prefer to see a Dust 2 remake than AVP India.
Say no more. Before I start to make a map, let's come up with a plan. When migrating the architecture from Gold Source to Build Engine, what issues can I expect to encounter? None? Sure. Build Engine becomes not great at rendering space over space. For example, this bridge over the counter-terrorist spawning area, it's gonna be a mess. I can use TROR, aka True Room Over Room, but it's pain in the ass. So, I've got no other choice. Let's take a look at the Dust 2 map from the top view. We have a lot of open space. If I overdo TROR, the map will be full of glitches. So, I will only use it for the skybox, the top layer of the map, where players can get in. Second, we must define the palette of the map. Dust 2 has a certain art direction, the Desert City. Here is Duke's color palette. This is where we begin. I am defining the color ranges that are going to set the overall visual tone. Gray and desaturated brown for buildings, light blue for the skybox, and brown for wood and rocks. Based on our color palette, I've chosen certain textures that I will use. It's not all of them, but it's a great base to start with. Well, let's get started. First, based on the original map I opened in the Hammer editor, I'm going to create a simple blockout. Unfortunately, the scales of the two engines are different, so I will not recreate the map in the same size. Otherwise, the gameplay would suffer. I quickly set up the main points, starting with the terrorist spawn, after researching the source map. The counter-terrorist spawn is under the bridge, which I will create later with sprite work, when the map has a more finished structure. And this is what I've got after a couple of hours. The next step is texturing. To apply texture to a surface, I need to select it from the library. To make sure that the texture fits properly on the surface, I use the texture alignment tool to adjust the position, scale, and rotation of the texture. I can also use the texture offset tool to move the texture around on the surface. In addition to texturing, lighting is also an important aspect of level design in the Build Engine. Lighting can be used to set the mood of a map, highlight important areas, or create interesting shadows and contrasts. The Build Engine uses a sector-based system for lighting. In short, I have to set the lighting for each sector and sprite individually. This is probably the very reason why it takes so long to create levels for Duke. For example, it took me half a year to create one of my levels. Of course, it all depends on the size of the map, your style and general skills. But what definitely can be denied is that editing maps requires patience and dedication. I use SpriteWork to create the lamp. SpriteWork means that the object is made up of sprites. It's very close to 3D modeling, where instead of polygons we have sprites. Each sprite has to be eliminated manually. For this I also set it not to change lighting when affected by other events. I set the sprite to be one-sided for better performance and rendering in the game, and also make it blocked so it will have a collision. So after a few hours of texturing and lightning, I'm ready to start creating the bridge. It's important to note that its size should be planned in advance, so the sprites overlap as little as possible and create fewer glitches in the game. As you may have noticed, sprites can be used not only for enemies, interactive objects or sound decorations. They can also be used for important parts of the level geometry. This not only allows you to create more varied shapes, but also avoids the use of Tror. Finally, the last stage. Probably my favorite and least favorite at the same time. The sky. I don't like this stage, because I have to use Tror. It's a very tricky technique. It's very easy to make a mistake and then have to do it all over again. But I love to see how my level transforms with the look of the skybox. The space gets its natural look, the lighting seems better, and it's just easier to breathe. In Edict 32, which is used in Iron Fury, you can create more advanced skyboxes. By default, a skybox is a set of textures with a parallax effect, but in Iron Fury you can create surface projections, just like in Source Engine. It's a shame that this technique is not yet available for Duke.